All right, guys, welcome to the stream. We're going to do a quick reactionary video on today's data slate. I got Darren, Jake, and Powell with me today. We're going to rip through it and not do too much stuff like everybody else has, just take our takes on it, how it affected us, and our thoughts. So let's load it up here. All right, so Darren, take it away on devastating wounds. What are the changes?
So this is, I believe, the same change that was in the.
Yeah, you can't go by this. Yeah, no, because they did not update the red is not all new.
Yeah, so this is just the same as the previous data slate.
Just the same.
We have changed it so that they're not mortal wounds anymore. They're super special wounds that don't allow any saves.
Okay, I thought. I'm only thinking about devastating wounds because my custodes got a little bit of help. So
yeah,
I think
that's in the custode section.
Yeah. I don't think anything else changed. So then we'll move on to slide 2. So
there we go.
All right, we'll let you do some sisters because I know that's one of your armies.
And that means you can do the Adeptus Custodes because you're itching too. Okay, so. Sisters got one change, and it was, I'm sure someone walked around at an event from the Games Workshop event team and saw a Sisters player like hose 12 sixes through the Triumph and the Dialogus and went, absolutely not. So instead of being able to perform an unlimited number of miracles next to the Triumph of St. Catherine, you can instead perform 2 instead of 1. So if you have a multi-melta, you can guarantee a hit and a wound, but then you got to roll damage. You can guarantee a wound and then max damage, but you have to roll the hit. So you got to roll one of those 3 dice now.
I call that the McWerp rule. That is the McWerp rule. He did that to me at the last MTT tournament. I was like, what the hell?
To a lot of people at the last MTT tournament.
Hey, he only beat me by 3 points.
Vomiting miracle dice. Just
I know, and the worst part is the longer he plays the game, the more dice he has to change, and it's just ugly. So, all right, custodes, we've been taken out of the penalty box a little bit here. So, it felt really bad when you had like a 60 or 70 point Terminator just died as devastating wounds. So now they get 4-up protection against those. I know. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, and I think that's the only other change. I think that's the only thing we got other than point reductions. And
you didn't get your 10-man squads
in the rules. I know. I didn't think
I told you never again. Never again.
I know they were oppressive. So yeah, we now have a 4-up, so that'll feel good. So Jake, take it away with Eldar. Or Eldari.
Now we're not so much like nerf.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ.
We're done. Demonetized.
We'll cut that out in post.
You can bleep that, right?
We'll figure out a way.
So now we kind of just got little taps in all our faction abilities, which was reasonable. It basically makes us have to use, like, it seemed like half the units were designed to try and buff the faction ability, but the faction ability was so good it didn't need to be buffed. So at this point, Guardians are worth considering, and then the Wraith Lord is kind of hilarious with the Weeping Stones now, because every kill he can get 2 fate dice. So there's other things to actually consider now, instead of just like you get whatever you want without trying. And then it's kind of hilarious. The Night Spinner actually in a lot of situations just got buffed. Because like there wasn't a ton of units that just want to YOLO advance and shoot at Eldar. So this is actually a bit of a buff, but I think the points will be enough. We won't ever see 3 again. And then Incarn was a big one too. But I don't know, unless your opponent was bad, you weren't teleporting multiple times. but now it's kind of just like she's a lot more stuck than she used to be. So and Wraithguard took out Back and Shot, which everyone knew was going to happen, and that's pretty much it.
So with the Incarn, it does sort of mean now that, because having played against the Incarn a bunch, either with this jerk over here or when I got like thrown into Eldar teams, you can kill the Incarn on your turn if the Incarn has like teleported into your backline to do terrible things to you. But you kind of make a bargain with the Eldar player that like, I'm going to kill the Incarn this turn, but it means I'm probably not killing anything else. Because if I line up at things, you're going to Phantasm, because you can't Phantasm the Incarn anyway. And now you don't have to make that bargain anymore, because Phantasm is gone, and you can kill 5 Warp Spiders or something. The Incarn doesn't suddenly get to teleport away anymore. So, so much better. It's so much better.
Yeah, is she still worth taking?
I think a lot of the general vibe is people are going to be taking Double Avatar still. That's the go-to list right now. Double Avatar. Art of War was saying you still take the spinners, but I haven't really been a fan of more than one for a while. Like, it's just fun. Like, if someone's got a bunch of, Deathwing Knights, just go, no, you're dead, basically. You move 2 inches the rest of the game. Like, I liked one, but now I think Double Avatar is a good place to start. And then, but you play the Incarn more just like the Avatar.
The Incarn still does something that nothing else in the game does. It just does significantly less of it.
No, it's just regular. It's just normal rules.
It has to play the game like everybody else.
My record was...
It's still elf rules, because nothing else gets to show up an inch away from you and charge.
Yeah, my record was 15 teleports in a game.
Oh,
and it was... it was... I was able to teleport like in every phase for one turn. It was just in a few turns, like, because he would let me overwatch, I'd teleport, and then I'd fight, teleport, heroic intervene, teleport. It's just like, it was a good time.
It was abuse. All right, so Agents of Imperium. I don't think anything changed.
No additional
there.
There's a couple things that they did to them. I believe if you're a pure Imperial Agents army now, you don't have any army restrictions for taking units or something along those lines. That's just from me reading the Goonhammer stuff later. I don't know if it's here or in somewhere else.
Yeah, it might be in somewhere else. Astra Militarum. I know there was a change to their officer commands. I know Shane would be better to explain it. Who wants to take a crack at this?
So basically, now the officers can issue orders in your command phase, which they always could before, and at the end of a phase that they've either disembarked from a transport or set up on the battlefield. Correct. This is big for Scions, because now the Scion officers actually get to issue orders, because before the paratroopers came down and the officers needed a turn to figure out what the hell was going on before they could order anybody. And then anybody who actually wants to get out of their transport to issue an order can do so. Right? So
fool, he's gonna die.
So if you've got a unit with flamers or whatever, you want an extra 3 inches of range, you don't give up your orders when you get out of that transport.
And then Blood Angels, I think they just got an extra pip of strength, right? I think it used to be 1 strength, or add 1 to the strength characteristics and add 1 to the attacks. So the adding 2 is quite spicy. I think they definitely need it. It would have been really interesting instead of I think more attacks if they had a little bit more damage, because I think a lot of their they suffer from what Space Wolves have, is where their heirloom weapons or their Encarn sword, and I can't say the damn word.
Incarmine.
There you go. Swords. They're all damage 1. So they're not so super devastating. So, all right, Chris, demons.
Well, you see that little red blurb up there? That just says you
Yeah.
can't take blue scribes in an allied detachment. That's what that's what that says. And the changeling. That's what that says. Because now you have to take battle line. So Nurglings are still battle line. So Chaos Knights and all that are not are gonna have their infiltrators, but it just basically that just says blue scribes and changeling. No, that's what that says.
All right. CSM, unit can embark.
Oh, they got a bunch of stuff.
Transport. Yeah. So I know this was going all over the Discord today. Anybody want to summarize? Who's got the best summary for it?
Oh, I can just really quickly pull it up real quick. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think the biggest thing for them is the dark obstruction, right? It's now 18 inches, which is a lot better.
Well, that's part of it. But the other part is you can't put units in transports unless they have the same mark now, right? So that really stops like having Nurgle rhinos and then outcome like Khorne chosen, right? You can't do that anymore, right? And then they took the accursed cultists and gave them a good slap, right? They're now OC1 instead of OC2. And what was the other thing they did? Oh, and they only regenerate in their command phase now, not every command phase. Thank God. Those things are
one of the last ones. They were one of the last holdouts for that, eh? Like almost everyone else went back to that.
It was very much, and I mean, it's like the old Necron warriors too. It's like, did you full to zero them? No. The next time you shoot them, they're going to be pretty close to full. Right?
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous.
They're coming back.
Yeah,
that's what happened to the Satan and Gary and Liam's game on the weekend. Gary put so much into it and got it down to 1 wound and could not kill it. And by the next turn or 2 turns later, it was back to full health.
I mean, the number of times that I have played Gary and he's got some BS character walking about on 1 wound because he's made 5 or 6 4-up invulns in a row. How's it feel, Gary?
Yeah.
No, Gary doesn't remember those. Gary doesn't remember.
How's it feel, Gary?
That's called Gary would say that's player skill.
Yeah, exactly. I know. When I played him in the finals, he rolled so many 5-ups on that one squad that has the 5-up Feel No Pain, and he was rolling 6s on the other ones. I was pissed. So I know Death Guard got a little bit of hit on points, or
the big one is the grenade.
Yes. Yeah, so they can spam grenades.
Yeah, they changed it to be in line with. I'm not sure if there's actually any other model that gives free grenades other than the Reductus Saboteur, but they changed it to be exactly the same. Basically, you get 2 grenades. You don't get as many grenades as you brought models.
Well, yeah. Which was they could do it 4 times. Is that how many times? I believe 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay, Death Watch.
Oh, nothing.
Okay. All right. Good talk. Now, Drukhari, as I just learned before we started recording this, got a whole new index. So they are back with melee, baby. So we'll see if JT starts taking them again over
100%.
Ynnari. Yeah.
They look a lot of fun.
I saw Brandon was actually excited, so that means I'm going to go back to losing to Brandon because Incubi killed me instead of Dark Lances. So
when we remove my practice games from like the 9th edition with Drukhari, I think of my win rate. Like I used to play Brandon all the time, so I have like negative 20% to my win rate just from him. So back to that.
The crazy thing with Brandon is I think we've played 3 or 4 times, and every single one of our games has been decided within 3 points. And I think we're 2-2. It's the craziest thing. It always comes down to like the last turn doing something, and it's
I don't have that experience. I have the experience of him apologizing for the things he's doing to me.
Oh no,
he's a good guy like that.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, Chris. Take more of these models off.
Yeah, Custodes in 9th were actually when they got their codex were a good balance to Drukhari, but yeah, it was so your other army there, Darren.
So no change in this. This is still you basically get your stuff back about half the time, unless you're me, then you don't get it back at all. Unless you play Chris, then you get it back 100% of the time, no matter what it is.
And then Chris flips the table and storms off and has a beer.
He almost didn't make it out of the forest.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, that was pre-Tacoma, and that was when bikes could do things. And I almost ended up in the bottom of a ravine.
I saw
no cell phone reception.
Yeah. You were like single-handedly responsible for those bikes getting nerfed almost.
Stu Black did walk by at Tacoma and watch a large knight be removed by bikes moving 3 times, and then after Tacoma, there were no more bikes. So
he's a good man, that guy. Good man.
So I think I on the Discord found this one the first, but the Dread Knights got a big blow up, so that's going to make them so much better because nobody knew why, especially the Grandmaster didn't hit on 2s, right? He was hitting on 3s. He was way overcosted for what he did, but they've seemed to drop their weapon skill now down to or weapon skill is now 2 on the greatsword, and it's weapon skill 3 on the hammer, which is going to make them way more enjoyable because they can fall back, shoot, and charge, right?
And Danny's happy, which is scary because
yes,
and he wants to play baby carriages. So
yeah, the other thing too was the heavy side cannon got ignore cover, and it used to be AP1. Now it's AP2.
Point of AP. It effectively got 2 points of AP because AP1 without ignore cover most of the time is AP nothing.
And don't forget the ignore damage reduction on the Grandmaster. Right? Grandmaster's ignoring damage reduction is really good, right? Because now you don't forget.
Oh, right. Yes, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's Saitan Hunter.
Could you imagine if he could join a squad of Death Knights or Dread Knights? That would be insane. That would be crazy. It would be hard to move around the board. That'd be hard to move around the board, but it would still be crazy so yeah,
Did you just say hard to move around the board with Grey Knights? Grey Knights are not hard to move around the board.
I'm talking about
they go up and down.
I'm just talking if you could do a squad of Dread Knights. That would be great.
You'd have to find a spot to put those bases down again is your issue.
Yeah. All right. Imperial Knights. Did they get any changes?
They just codified. They just codified that the Code Chivalric, the Lalo the Tyrant, is basically exactly the same as the Eldar rule.
Okay.
It's 1 and 1, not or.
Okay. So my biggest disappointment on the DataSlate is that Votan did not get touched. I was hoping that they were going to lose 4 judgment units. I think it's a little overkill.
I agree.
Yeah,
but
I think
the points are pretty big.
I think if you could do 4 judgments where you could decide to make 2 things double judged or 4 things single judged, that would be better. But 4 double judged units is really, really hard to deal with.
Especially for Custodes bias is showing here.
It is absolutely. That's.
I just wanted to show. I want to know where Dan touched me.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think Jake's right. The points are really big for Votan because Dan's list went up something like 100 points.
Yeah.
And the sort of like the competitive Votan list was 6 Sagittars and he runs 2. Yeah. So like the sort of net list I think probably went up closer to 200 points.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty significant.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So Space Marines, no big change there. Space Wolves, though, now get their sagas on each player's turn, which is going to make them a little bit more spicy. I don't know. I haven't talked to Pat yet if it's even worth it.
This would be relevant if you were ever going to see Deeds of the Worthy detachment, which you won't, because they released a detachment in the Space Marine book that is the Space Wolves detachment. I know it's supposed to be the White Scars detachment, but it's the Space Wolf detachment.
Yeah. So. And then World Eaters got taken out back and shot from everything that I've heard because they got points, I think, and then they got rule changes, right? So
Yeah, that's called the negative play experience penalty, or the Anthony Vanilla clause. If the game's going to be over in 2 turns and I had no agency over it because I messed up a screen and you just shake my hand, then you don't deserve to be that good. So
yeah. So what I'll do is I'm gonna actually load in the rules commentary real quick, but what are your guys' hot takes from the rule commentary? Go, Darren. I'll let you go first.
All right. So I mean, the hottest take we'll save for Chris because that's that affects him more than anything. In terms of the rules, I thought for the most part it was just nice to get clarification on why they made some of those decisions. So like the deep striking not counting as moving, right? Which was very counterintuitive just because the wording of the rule literally says you count as moving. And then they
not moving.
That event FAQ is like, yeah, they're not moving. Don't worry about it. So it was nice in the rules commentary. They basically said, we did that so that you people wouldn't say they'd remained stationary and get +1 to hit for heavy weapons and stuff out of deep strike. That's why we did that, because you people are awful. And that's an answer that I fully and wholeheartedly agree with. So that's my little take from the exactly. That's my take from the rules commentary.
Chris?
The very first thing that you see on that screen is
I figured that's why I left it there.
It is the part that is interesting. So apparently we all have in our brains 9th edition where nothing stacks. Well, GW went and goes, well, nothing stacks as long as it has a name. If it doesn't have a name, it stacks. So I've ordered 3 Ren Masters on Bloodthrone because I'm going to make a meme list where I have AP 5, Strength 8, Damage 5 Fleshhounds in the most ideal of conditions, because if you can point at a dude and tell it to do something and it doesn't have a name, you can do it as many times as you want. So and that's what they said. So if it has a name like pinning or what's
yes, the one that you sent a message about in the
a flame
was a flame. Yes. It was like, oh, I can do this multiple times. Like, no, Zinch named it. It's got a condition. They're a flame. They can't.
So there's not a lot of them.
Once.
But in Demons, there's 2 big ones. One's the one that they use as a reference here, which is the Great Unclean one. If you happen to have 3 of them, hey, you might see it now with the points reductions.
I saw one on the tournament ones.
Yeah, you can point 3 times and lower the toughness of a unit by 3.
Ooh.
So
except for Trajan.
Well, except for Trajan, except for all the other custode unit that now all of a sudden becomes tough 3.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking that. So the other one too. So I know I was saying this in the Discord, but it says so for Grey Knights have the ability to bring a unit back once per turn, right when they're off the like if they're on the board. Now you can do it off the board, but I don't think this works as if you need to use a strat, because you can't play a strat on a unit that's off the board, can you?
Why can't you? It just says if it says a unit in your army, that's a unit in your army. The only thing that makes it that you can't play a strat on, as far as I know, you're either dead
in a transport
or you're in a transport. Transport is the null zone. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was just wondering if I can bring back a Terminator.
Yes, you can
off the board. Okay.
Because that's why they actually have called it out that custodes can now heal off the board.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah. So just a note, if you can stay on that for 1 second. So they added that I guess everyone's healing works off the board, which is hilarious. They still didn't fix the fact that their first sentence in red, and then the IE in brackets that follows directly after it contradicts each other. Right? So
yes, it does.
Eventually they got to clarify which one of those is supposed to take precedence, because English says it's the IE because you're saying what you mean by the above.
Yes,
but
and then they also changed sticky now, because I believe before sticky was still held until the end of the turn.
Yes, right? End of the turn, correct. Yeah,
and now it's by phase, like other objectives. right? Because all the other objectives flipped on a phase, right? But now the sticky actually flips now on the phase, which is
stealth
good.
bonus
And
for
then,
Necrons.
Yeah. And then don't make advance rolls. I don't know if that changed anything. The
There's
only
a lot
thing
of
for
minor
me,
stuff.
yeah, the big thing for me is finally they have clarified the modifiers and how that works with damage as well as AP and all the other stuff with the attacks, there we go, ignoring modifiers. So now Trajan is now worth every point that he has that he is to take, because he ignores everything. You can't battle, well, you can battle shock him, good luck on a 5, but he also just ignores your OC change or any of those things. So he's back, baby. So,
and then one other change I'll call out. If you scroll back up to redeploy.
Yep. Where is it? It was. Oh, and there's one on the vehicles too that changed.
Yeah. To
redeploy. There we
go. They have clarified that it works the way that everybody thought it worked at the beginning of the edition. If you have an ability that gets used on deployment, when you redeploy, you get to use your on deployment ability. So infiltrators do get to re-infiltrate.
Nice.
That's nice. That's very nice.
That's cool. And then I think there was one on it was something to do with vehicles with bases and vehicles without bases. So excluding aircraft and walkers. So basically always measure to and from the closest part of the model for all rule purposes. So with the following exceptions, where I'm just looking here, disembark vehicle. So
that's important. It's how it should be. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a common sense thing.
Yeah. Jake, anything in here that you wanted to go over?
Not really. I think you guys got most of it. The vehicles thing has been a frustrating one for me, back and forth. Like, it was like, can I have 3/4 of my tank in the terrain and not be seen? And then can I not? So it was kind of like, obviously it was better when my tank was technically the size of a custode's jet bike. That was nice when that was a thing for a hot minute, but
yeah, you mean your Hornet there that with its little teeny base that you'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm wholly within.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, like even the fire prism was on the same base.
It's ridiculous. So
they
now
do this every edition, and for some reason it takes them like several updates to get back to where they always arrive every edition.
Hull was a very reasonable term.
Yeah.
And I think the CP reroll was just to find that you can use it, or there was a change
you
to
could
it, right?
free strat it. You could free strat it because it's targeting a unit now. And let's be honest, everybody was playing it that way locally here anyways.
Yeah. And then rapid egress, they added some stuff. Did they add the deep strike wording about it here, or was that done before?
I can't tell you because this is on the.
Basically, it just says that if you rapid egress and you have the deep strike ability, you can use it. So you don't have to come in.
I don't. If that was added, it's just a clarification. I don't think anyone.
I think it was.
Hold on. This is important, guys. Are you telling me that if I have deep strike and I rapid ingress, I can come in anywhere on the board?
That's why I thought it was played before. I've definitely had.
That's the way that everybody I know has played it.
I've been cheating myself for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had
It literally says
up in my
set the unit up as if it was your reinforcement phase. Can you use deep strike in your reinforcement phase?
God damn it. No wonder I didn't use it. I haven't used rapid ingress with demons for so long. But
that is a clarification, not an addition.
Yeah. And then right at the end there is just that or turn on the objective markers for phase.
Yeah.
So So let's do our army takeaways. Jake will go first with Eldar. Overall, with point increase or decrease, increase, DataSlate, and core rules, what's your takeaway on Eldar?
Points, the Fenders got hit, and then all the scoring units got left alone, which I was surprised. I think they got out better than I was expecting overall. And then rules, I think they removed the offending things again. I think they did a really good job of it for the most part. Like there was nothing that was like when my Harlequins got nerfed, it was like, okay, all the fun gone when it could have been fixed with slight points hits. It was like
so
all your faction rules are gone.
Yeah. Are they still S tier or no?
I think there's gonna be a big divide. I think there's gonna be like the average players, I think will fall off by like 20 to 30%, maybe even more, like in terms of win rate. But I think at top tables, I think Eldar will only be like 5 to 10% of a drop off.
So you're not going back to Tau, is what you're saying.
9 commanders is kind of calling my name, but
wait, so does that just bring it down and assassinate automatically?
Well, we're giving up everything anyway, so that's a separate issue we might have to sort out. But no, I think it's going to be Eldar for the rest of the season till Tau get a codex, or Bring It Down gets a rewrite for how it divvies out points.
Is Tau getting a codex? I thought it was Codex Fruit.
No.
Yes, likely. I mean, Tau have combat now.
Codex, Tau Empire. You're gonna get Vespids and Crew, man.
And Vespids went down, but I already thought they were some of the best units. But yeah, no, I think Eldar is gonna pivot to a pure scoring build.
Kind of like combat Tau is on its way.
Yes, and it'll be glorious.
So you know the funny thing that what Tau don't like? Redeemers, because overwatching a crisis block with a redeemer is marvelous.
They did get nerfed as well. I don't think you'll see too many crisis suits anymore. There'll be one block maybe, but we'll see.
Actually, I find a lot of people now are starting to drop the cyclic, and they're adding in plasmas just to give a little bit different shooting profile too. So,
well, after my experience with teams of just killing myself like more than my opponents were killing me, it was I was like, oh, is this what all other armies feel like after taking a break from Eldar for a weekend?
All right, Chris, demons, and we'll do well, I guess Death Watch didn't change, but other than
we just got the regular Marine kind of kick, right? My Inceptors went up, my Aggressors went up, my Redemptor went up, who I was already looking at firing, and now he's fired. So my demons is tough. I think, I think maybe some Monster Mash builds got better because Keepers went down, Great Unclean Ones went down. So you're just going to see a different variety of it. But I still think they're garbage. Like I went back to my list that I squeezed every ounce out of to do at Kippers, and managed to finish 5th on the backs of Jake's Eldar. And it went down 55 points. So
wow.
Yeah, so for me it's it was Screamers went down to 75, which are great. But really I think it's going to be Keeper spam. And Keepers really struggle at killing anything that's higher in toughness 8. So still no anti-tank that isn't Bloodthirster or Be'lakor or Hellbane. And Hellbane stayed 450. So
Darren, GSC and Sisters. What
GSC, real quick, nothing of note changed.
Yes.
Kind of disappointing actually, because when I saw the GSC change, I'm like, well, I guess they're just waiting to do. They're not doing any internal balance stuff for anybody until there's a codex. And then you look at Sisters, and they clearly actually did try to do some internal balance tweaking around. They went, okay, Arcos are going up 20 points for 10, right? Exorcists are going up, but we'll drop 10 points off the Repentia, the Retributors, the Zephyrim, some of the stuff that isn't seen as much. So they did try to do a little bit of internal balance, but I guess the GSC, they're just like, nah, we'll put the I think the only reason the Gene Sealers went down is because the Tyrannid ones went down by an equal amount.
I think Dougal for that one. Because
I mean, it is obviously all Alex McDougall's fault for just continually posting like an 85 to 90% win rate with them. So
hey, Darren,
I did my part.
You did your part.
Did your part.
I did my part.
And we're gonna throw in your new love, T-Suns. I don't think got anything.
Yeah.
They literally got. They were just like, all right, we're gonna wait and see.
My stupid RTT spend like 1,500 points on characters and then take 25 tactical Marines. Still just fine. Nice. They no rules, no points changes. So they're perfect, just the way they are.
Sweet. I liked with Custodes. I like the point decreases. They're now back to where they were, except for the characters. Characters stay the same, except for the bikes. Yeah. The only thing that I wish had happened was the Aquilons, which nobody takes. I wish they had dropped with the Alaris because I like to bring the Aquilons. I think they're I think they're fun to play. They're bigger models, around 50 mils, but they're still fun.
Mike likes them because they're big like Mike.
Exactly. They're fun. But overall, I think it's good just on the devastating wounds change and finally clarification on Trajan, so that it's not a big point of everybody deciding one way or the other which way they want with his ignore is finally done. So I'm happy with that. And then my Salamanders list just suffered sort of same aggressors, point increases. But what I ended up doing was rejanking the list with I took out the 2 Redemptors, added another Repulsor, and then another Brick of Aggressors. So I really want to see how that would work with two Repulsors, 1 Redeemer, and 12 Aggressors. So we'll see. That might be a little bit fun.
So what I'm hearing is that despite the bike captain dropping like 40 or 50 points or where the heck he dropped,
20.
We're not seeing. Did he drop more? Wasn't he like
40? He dropped 40.
No, not originally. I don't think. I think he was 160. He was 140 before, and he went to 160, and now he's back to 140.
Les Kuhnhammer got it wrong.
Because
I thought he was like stupid. I thought he was close to 200 points. It was so dumb.
He might have been 180 in the original index. I got to look that up.
But what I'm hearing is no triple.
Kuhnhammer has it at minus 40.
Maybe overall, but I think he was 160 before.
Regardless, I'm not seeing 3 bike captains.
I was thinking about it.
I better see 3 bike captains at an RTT or something.
The problem is that
not a lot of fun rules.
The problem is that he is worth 2 bikes, and it's like, okay, do I want 2 units or 1? And then the bikes can mortal wound you, but he has an ability that can only be used if he's leading a unit. So that's where you're like, okay, now you can't take bikes in larger quantities than 3. So if you're going 2 bikes and a captain, you're investing in the point cost of 4 bikes. Is it worth it? Right? Because he has a nifty rule that I was thinking that would be spicy, is at the end of the fight phase, he gets to do a normal move or a fallback. If he's not engaged, he can do a normal move. So what you do is you rapid egress him in your opponent's turn. At the end of the fight phase, he moves 14 and then or 12, and then in your turn he moves another 12. So you can definitely get him down the board or get him somewhere. But I believe you have to be leading a unit to do that. I have to double check it. So now he does have a nice consolidate of 6 inches, which could be spicy. So I don't know. I'm looking at him, but the weird thing is that all other shield captains have 7 attacks. He has 6. So we'll see. I think you're going to see Trajan back in a lot of lists and a shield captain coming out. So
did Trajan ever really leave?
Yeah,
leave?
When they sort of sent out the FAQ saying we're not going to allow. Yeah. But when he lost his ignore, I think it was better to take 2 shield captains, because then you could do dual katas and you could just do the -1 to hit and then an offensive one. So,
and in teams now, I think Custodes have a really good spot now with the protections from Dev. I think Custodes were always a good team, but now, like before when when they had the period where there was just like, all right, devs tell you don't exist as an army. That period obviously was bad, but now Custodes, I think, go back into being a really good team's role.
I think
there's
their
a build.
bad matchups just shrunk significantly.
Yeah.
Right. So
they will still struggle into Votan. Votan, other than at the beginning of 10th, we actually did. Votan wasn't an issue, but now with their you only have so many units, so everything's double judged. So they just focus you down. That's a hard matchup, but yeah, like T-Suns and anybody else that's doing devastating wounds, like Eldar and stuff like that, they just got way stronger.
AP5 Fleshhounds doing 5 damage each will be a hard matchup.
That's true.
No, he'll just fight first and kill me. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's true. That's true
why you charge more than one.
Yeah, but I got to pick at the start of the fight phase.
There's an interesting build that was going around. I think it was like 12 Venatari, and like the rest of it was just bikes and bike captains, and that would be such a fast list. It'd be pretty crazy because you could. The interesting thing is with the Venatari, you can rapid egress for free. So, but I think we're good there. Anybody else add anything else in before we wrap it up?
Oh, I just think I'm giving it an A. The data slate, I'm giving it an A. Just because Eldar, who cares? I'm giving it an A. Everything else could be garbage.
You're purely on the fact that they distracted the elf design team by saying, hey guys, go into that room over there and go fix Drukhari. And they did this crazy thing where they just wrote them a new index and they printed it in the balance slate. While they were doing that, the sensible team got a hold of the Eldar and like, all right, 5th nerfs the charm, baby. Like, let's go. I think Jake's right. I think they're going to look a lot more like a Tau kind of win rate curve now, where if you go onto stat check and you click beginner versus veteran, that line is going to move a lot now.
Especially like it felt like you couldn't build a bad Eldar list when the backbone was Wraithguard. Like, I saw so many goober lists where you're just like, oh, this is terrible, this is terrible. Oh, it went like 4 and 1. Oh, there's the Wraithguard. Okay.
Also, you just like the amount you had to do to actually make a mistake with that Wraithguard unit, because it's like, oh, it should be hard to use because it's slow, except it's moving on every one of your opponent's turn regardless. Right? Whether it's forward, backwards, to safety, to whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then if your opponent lines up multiple units to shoot at them, you just assume they've never played Wraithguard and you laugh at them.
My favorite.
You intentionally fail a couple saves, maybe just to give them hope. Like you let one Wraithguard die to give them hope. You pass all of your other saves with your fate dice and your flipping 6s and stuff. And then you just kill every other unit that's lined up to shoot them and smile.
My favorite part about Wraithguard, the shooting back too, because they lost that as well, right? Like they can't shoot at anything anymore. Was
they didn't
when
lose
someone
it. It's just sensible.
Sensible, yes. Was when someone was like, I got this Melta pistol. I guess I'll shoot the Wraithguard. And you go, yeah, you will.
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up so we don't go too long. But thank you very much. Also, just want to give a quick shout out. We do have our MTT GT coming up, end of February, last weekend of February, and we are on a waiting list. But if you want to try and get in there, put your name into the waiting list, and we'll see if we can get you a spot. And then also. March, right? Wet Coast.
It's Easter weekend.
Easter weekend.
Yeah, so it's last weekend of March. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a Friday, Saturday. So trying to get 200 people out for the biggest tournament on the West Coast. So we'll wrap it there. And if you guys like, please subscribe. And if you can help out the channel by becoming a member, that'd be really appreciated. Lets us do more and more content. All right, guys. Let's end it there.